안녕하세요. 숑숑입니다. 닉네임을 고민하다가 결국 숑숑으로 정하기로 했어요. 그리고 이거는 또 제 라이브러리에 오랫동안 됐다. 녹화하는 공간이 없으니까 안 하고. 안녕하세요, 숑숑입니다. 오늘 해볼 게임 탱글타워 맞나? 이 게임을 사놓고 좀 오랫동안 안 해가지고 약간 제 취향의 게임이라는 puzzle 게임 좋아하거든요. 그래가지고 한번 해보려고 하는데 노래가 왜 이렇게 되게 음산하다. 시작을 해보도록. 잠시만요. 이게 잠깐만, 게임 캡처로 해야 되나? 이렇게 하면 된다. 한번 해보도록 하겠습니다. 소리가 괜찮은지 잘 모르겠네요. 소리 살짝 조절을 할게요. 게임 시작. 제발. 잠시만. 얼핏 잠든 줄. 호수 가장자리.
You ready, Sally?
Grimoire, I've been standing here for 7.5 minutes.
Just checking.
Do you have the map?
Yeah, but it's basically blank. Did you read the case file? What do you think?
풀더빙이네요. 좋다.
I'm not sure yet. It's really not a lot to go on. Did you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it on the way to the crime scene.
사건 파일, 살인 피해자 FFC 19세. 그냥 정말 영어를 한 글자도 읽지 않거든요. 감안해 주시기 바랍니다. 58세의 수상화를 부리는 도중 사망. 같은 가족이죠, 팔로우. 학 현장에서 초상화 모델로 슈퍼즈를 취하고 있었다. 등을 바닥에 대고 틀어진 채 발견되었으며 가슴에 단 하나의 자상을 입은 상태였다. 현장에서는 어떠한 무게도 발견되지 않았지만 리아가 끝내지 못한 그림 속 주인공은 칼을 들고 있다. 칼끝이 빨간색은 물감이 아니다. 피인 것으로 확인되었다. 탱글타워. 종이에 그려진 작은 그림, 뒤에 메모가 적혀있다. 이곳 현재는 탱글타워라고 불리지만 하단부 저택에 연결된 두 개의 탑이 있을 뿐이다. 원형의 호수에 둘러싸여 있다. 호수물은 이상한 색이다. 호수는 깎아지른 듯한 절벽에 둘러싸여 있다. 절벽은 너무나 가파르고 매끄러워 오를 수 없다. 탱글타워는 현재 두 가문이 거주한다. 헬로우 가문과 포인터 가문. 귀엽게 생긴 아가씨네요. 이렇게 이동하는군요.
It's a path. Or walking.
It's a bird bath. Is that just rainwater? Looks a little weird.
The birds seem to like it.
They're even singing a little tune. Doot, 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 doot.
Please don't do that.
Do you think anybody's watching us from one of those windows?
Maybe. Let's wave just in case.
It's the little boat we used to cross the lake. It's the only way on or off the island.
What a comforting thought.
생각보다 보이스가 많은데요? 이걸 다 녹음했단 말이지?
Mountains.
Nope. They're too steep and too smooth to be mountains. They're more like cliffs.
Whatever they are, they go all the way around the lake, like a barrier. It's just an archway, but it seems a little ominous. Like walking through it might give you bad luck.
Too late.
조사하는 걸 너무 좋아해가지고 약간 그냥 늦어질 수도 있을 것 같아요. 정원 일러스트가 되게 매력 있는 것 같아요.
It's a stone carving. Wonder how it got cracked.
I think it's supposed to look like that. It's an egg.
It's a statue of some hideous
Playing a harp.
playing a harp. Hang on a second. This isn't just a regular statue, is it?
Something tells me
확실하네요.
we're not gonna solve this just yet.
Let's come back later. It must do something.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
하프 동상, 큰 하프를 들고 있는 낡고 포화된 양서류 동상. 하프의 기둥 내 부분에 기호가 새겨져 있다.
Spooky. What do you think it's
Spooky.
for?
I think it's to scare away detectives.
Is it working?
No.
No.
It's full of the same weird water.
Any fish in there?
Not a single one. Although there is something in there.
It's a cassette tape. Or it used to be.
카세트 테이프는 물에 젖어 손상됐다. 라벨의 잉크는 번져서 알아볼 수 없다. 다 일일이 조사를 하고 가야 되는 것 같은데?
It's a bandstand.
밴드스탠드.
Bit small for a bandstand.
It's a one-man bandstand.
It's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to say, too quiet?
It's not. It's an appropriate amount of quiet.
조용한 게 좋아. 막 이렇게 돌아다녀도 되나? 탐정이라서? 정문.
Little bird feeders.
How do you know
yeah.
they're for birds? Oh.
What?
Oh. There's an O on the floor.
Oh yeah, Tangle Tour.
생글 추워.
Tour.
추워.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Oh yeah, Tangle.
Tour.
Why build a house?
I'm sure they had their reasons.
Looks like
Can you
some-
blame them?
Looks like
Can you
some-
blame them?
Looks like someone tried to chop
Can
it
you
down.
blame them? Do you think he'll start to move if we try to go inside?
No, I think he'll just silently judge us.
Is that an envelope?
It's been opened, but the letters. Let's read it.
Isn't that an invasion of someone's privacy?
Oh, definitely.
No, definitely. 봉투가 뜯겨 있다. 안에는 작은 종이가 들어있다. 조합은 다른 종이에 있습니다. 조합을 외운 뒤에는 이 종이를 없애십시오. 당신의 사고에는 동의할 수 없습니다. 그것은 밑에서 찾을 수 없을 겁니다. 조합은 다른 종이에 있습니다. 조합을 외운 뒤에는 이 종이를 없애세요. 당신의 사고에는 동의할 수 없습니다. 그것은 밑에서 찾을 수 없을 겁니다. 무슨 얘기인지 알 수가 없어요.
Should we ring the doorbell?
Why would we not? It's a little melody. It's red, but I don't think it's painted. It's just red. Don't think it's locked.
Oh, that means we can just walk straight in, right?
I'm pretty sure that's the rule, yeah.
법이 없는
A path leading towards the stone square.
That leads back to the gardens. It's red, but I don't just red.
오케이 들어갈 수 있고요. 이쪽으로도 갈 수가 있는데 일단 정문으로 들어가 볼게요. 그랜드홀. 어머 예쁘다.
It's a big glass
큰
tube
유리관이네. 물
filled
가득
with
차 있어.
water.
There are weeds in there.
수초가 있어.
And
It's an
sand.
aquarium?
Could be. Except there's nothing living in it. Anymore.
What is that?
I think it's a family tree.
뭐? 전부 영어로 써있군요. 대충 펠로우 가문과 또 포인터 가문이 같이 살고 있네요. 그런가 봐요. 근데 너무 보통 이런 식으로 돼 있지 않나? 이런 식으로 돼 있으면 무슨 관계라는 거지? 잘 모르겠어. 잘 모르겠어요. 아, 이쪽이 저쪽의 탑이고 이게 저쪽의 탑이구나. 오케이. 완전 못 알아들었지만 완전 알아들었어.
We should try and be finished before it gets dark. No pressure.
뭐 하는 거야 얘네는?
Sally, check those plants for clues.
Is soil a clue?
It's not locked.
Stairs.
A big letter F.
Of course. Who doesn't hang a giant banner of their initial in the lobby of their mansion?
Stairs.
A door.
Oh, what's behind it?
A room.
일단 그럼 가는 대로 가봅시다.
Let's head to the crime scene first. It's at the top of the west tower, I think.
아 그래 사건이 있어서 사건을 조사하러 뭐라 했지? 오케이. 너무 집중을 안 하고 있나? 맞아 빨간색 이게 P라고 했어. 그리고 여기 구체적으로 쓰러진 거 그려져 있네요. 그리고 말 걸어도 되나?
Let's take a look at that painting first. There it is. The unfinished
Nice.
portrait of Flora Fellow.
로라 팔로우의 초상화.
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it.
Looks that way.
완성된 것 같은데. 리아는 그림을 끝내지 못했다. 작업 중 사망했기 때문이다. 칼을 들고 있는 것처럼 보인다. 그 끝에 빨간 물체는 피인 것으로 확인되었다.
I wonder if all of Freya's paintings are this creepy. Maybe it's just because she never got to finish it.
There's something wrong with the crime scene. And something really weird about the murder weapon.
We didn't find a murder weapon.
Murder weapon? 지금? 아무것도 조사 안 했는데? 에? 죽으면 아직 수상한 점이 있다.
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because it stabbed Freya.
What?
Weird, huh?
You think Freya was stabbed by a painting? Not by the woman from the painting, but by the painting itself.
Mm-hmm. Freya was standing right up by the canvas when she was killed. There's blood on the knife. It's the murder weapon.
Right. But it's not actually a knife. It can't stab.
See any other knives around here?
이렇게
Case
당당한.
closed.
The case is not closed. And even if you were right, where does that leave us? A painting can't be a murder suspect.
알지? 끝내지 못한 그림. 아니 너무 당당해가지고 당황했어. 너무 당당하잖아. 나는
Is that an egg? An egg with bird feet.
It's also covered in gemstones. What a completely ordinary object.
I think it's a container for something.
Those gems look like they come off.
응? 응? 원석의 위치를 바꿔봐.
Nope.
Did you check the clue on the back of the egg? I'm pretty sure it explains where to put each of the gemstones. It's some kind of clue about where to put the gemstone.
그게 단서라고? 그냥 딱 지워주면 되는 거 아니야? 아 이런 식으로 바꿀 수 있네. 노란색을 이렇게 놓고 초록색을 이게 맞나? 보라색이랑 얘랑 이어줘야 될 것 같고 뭐가 뭔지 모르겠는데 갑자기 난해한 퍼즐이 나왔어. 분홍색, 초록색, 분홍색, 초록색, 분홍색, 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 분홍색? 가로질러 가는 거 없는데?
I guess that's wrong.
What's the deal with those lines between the gems? They must mean something.
여기는 여기 가운데 있고 아 이건가? 빨강 초록 빨강 초록 그리고 녹색 이렇고 이건 그리고 노란색 빨간색 근데 이게 아니고 분홍색 분홍색 그리고 이렇게 잠시만 안 된 게 있나? 여기다가 요렇게 해서 다홍색이랑 하늘색, 다홍색이랑 하늘색. 그리고
It's some kind of clue about where to put the jet.
하늘색이랑 보라색. 하늘색이랑 보라색. 보라색이 더 짧은 곳이고. 여기 빨간색, 녹색, 빨간색, 녹색. 굵은 선들은 다 처리를 했고요. 그리고 보라색, 노란색, 노란노랑, 보라색, 노란색. 그리고 얇은 선 삥 돌아서 돌아오는 거, 삥 돌아서 돌아오는 거, 노란색, 초록색, 노란색, 초록색. 그리고 가로질러 가는 거, 주황색, 주황색, 주황색이래. 된 거 같은데?
That's the one.
Hey, not bad.
아, 자동으로 안 되는구나.
Did it unlock? What's in there?
아, 나 저게 그 뭐지, 정답 버튼인 건 줄 몰랐어. 힌트 버튼인 줄 알았어.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, I'm not leaving without a clue. An empty egg's a clue, right?
엠티 에그. 잠금을 해제하면 알을 열 수 있다. 현재는 비어 있다. 알의 안감은 부드러운 벨벳 같은 소재로 되어 있다. 알은 황동으로 된 스탠드 안에 놓여져 있다. 밑에는 뾰족한 발톱이 난 이상한 발 3개가 있다. 안에 아무것도 없는 게 더 이상하지 않나? 안에 뭘 보관하려고 만든 건데? 그리고 복잡하게 잠겨 있었는데 그 안에 아무것도 없다는 거는 누가 가져갔다는 이야기가 아닌가 라는 생각이 들어요.
Is that a gramophone?
I think so. Except it's got a tape deck instead of a turntable.
테이프 플레이어.
It's also got a big crack down the middle.
레코드 대신에 카세트 테이프를 재사용한다. 반 중앙을 향해 놓여져 있다. 나팔부터 테이프 넣는 곳까지 뚜렷한 고미가 있다. 고미가 있는 게
What about the cassette tape?
Yeah, it sure is. Pink.
금이간 카세트 테이프. 카세트 테이프 중앙에 금이가 있다. 라벨에게 손으로 적은 메시지가 있다. 그래야 했고.
Do you think it still works?
The gramophone? Yeah, we could give it a go. It's piano music.
피아노 음악을 녹음한 것이다. 짧게 재생되다 멈춘다. 끝까지 피아노 음악인 것 같네. 그런가 봐요.
Weird.
It's someone humming a tune.
안 들리는데. 나 함부로 건드려서 망가졌나?
A little pot plant. Balanced
It's the only plant in the entire room.
The outline of Freya Fellow. Looks like she fell onto her back. There's a single patch of blood, right in the middle. No real signs of a struggle.
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up by the canvas,
So?
so she was probably standing really close to the canvas when she fell.
Let's check the case file again.
그림 그리다가 그림 뒤에서 찔려 죽은 거 아니야?
Supposedly, Freya was working on the painting when she was killed. Looks like she was still holding her paintbrush and palette when she fell.
Didn't even get a chance to clean her brush.
노란 물감이 올려져 있다. 가장 큰 부분은 분홍의 검은색이다. 빨간 물감이 묻은 채 말라 있다.
There it is. The unfinished portrait of Flora Fellow.
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it?
Looks that way.
아,
Freya's painting supplies.
금이 잔뜩 까있네요. 빨간색, 노란색, 파란색, 검은색, 흰색 물감을 담은 작은 요리통. 요리통은 모두 한쪽으로 금이 가있다.
Freya's painting supplies.
오케이.
A bunch of old books. Covered in dust now, but they look well read. A bunch of old books. Covered in dust now, but they look... It's so dark back.
Somehow, the sunlight doesn't seem to be making it very far into the room. Flora Fellow?
어머나.
Hey, sorry to barge in. I'm sure you're still in some distress.
We need to ask you a few questions, I'm afraid.
Did you witness the murder, Flora?
Nothing. What do we do?
Not sure. She's entitled to her silence, I suppose.
For now. Is there anything you'd like to tell us, Flora? I don't really know anything about you at all.
I think that's the way she likes it. We'll just have to ask other people about her.
Yeah, okay.
Freya was painting your portrait yesterday. Is that right?
Was this something you had planned with her ahead of time?
Was there something special about yesterday?
Did you talk to Freya at all while she was painting you?
She's not going to answer us, is she?
Nope. But at least we can say we tried.
이거를 한다고 의미가 있을까? 싶지만
Flora, you were
해보겠어요.
definitely in the room at the time of the murder. Surely you must have seen something? Can you tell me anything about what happened to Freya? Yeah, she's acting pretty suspicious if you ask me.
I don't know. Maybe she really doesn't know anything.
How is that possible?
그렇다고 합니다. 누가 있다.
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
귀여워.
May I talk to you, miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't care.
I am a detective, and I need to talk.
Correction. You do not need to talk to me,
Oh no? How come?
because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangletawer for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis about the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great
이런 성격이군.
disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not
Flora,
question either of
Felix.
them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
할 수 없는
Thanks for the
사람들.
tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi?
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to
I don't get
ignore
it,
me
man.
completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other?
그랬구만.
Fifi's bedroom should be unlocked now.
Can't wait. It's an illustrated book about birds.
It's been left open. Looks like somebody was halfway through reading it.
Or it was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly unnerving?
블록새는 놀랍도록 똑똑한 새로 조류 미스티즈 중에서도 수명이 굉장히 길다. 다른 새들은 종종 얼룩새에게 공격적인 성향을 보인다. 따라서 얼룩새는 대부분 생애를 홀로 보낸다. 이 새는 독특한 먹이 섭취 특성을 가지고 있는데 보통 탄툼 아미카, 그린 참고의 열매만을 먹는다.
Books about nature? Sure, why not build a science lab in the corner of the library?
The search for new knowledge, the archiving of old knowledge. It's downright poetic. Books about geography.
Skip. Books about ancient history?
These books are ancient history. I think they'd crumble into dust if I tried to pick them up.
Good excuse.
Thanks.
A book on the floor. Fundamental entomology.
I guess somebody dropped it.
Is that a snow globe?
Of sorts. Hey, look at that. It's a model of Tangletawo. There's the lake and those weird... What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing souvenir.
갖고 가고 싶네.
A chalkboard.
Is this a library or a classroom?
이걸 자세히 보게 만든 이유가 있겠죠? A는 무엇인가?
I'm not sure I learned anything from that.
의미가 없나?
I'm not sure. Soil samples? Books about space.
They're relatively untouched. Books about insects.
Well, theoretically, there's not a single book on that shelf.
Huh.
It's musty in here.
What exactly does that mean? What is must?
Must. You ask such stupid questions.
Nice.
대충 볼 거 다 본 듯. 갑시다. 여기서 울고 있었다고 했죠. 귀엽다.
A new suspect.
New suspect.
Don't think you can get out being questioned just because you're a bear.
I'm innocent, I promise.
Save it for the judge.
잘 노네.
It's a magnifying glass. A big one.
How come you don't have one of those?
Why? Because I'm a detective? Should I start smoking a pipe too?
You couldn't pull off a pipe. I don't know what that drink is, but I bet it's 99% sugar.
I'd read you the ingredients, but there's nothing written on the can.
That's even worse.
What's that big book on the desk?
Looks like something Fifi's been writing.
Is it a clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology experiments.
What's that big book?
Looks like it's just a bunch of notes about her
A pretty ornate window.
We're supposed to be looking for clues, not assessing them.
And over here, you'll see the owners use a simple trick, but it really transforms the space. Fifi's got something pinned up here.
What is all this?
관계도?
Did you notice who isn't on here?
Freya?
Mm-hmm. And Fifi herself. It's a bed.
Barely.
That's a whole lot of...
Boxes of stuff.
뭔가 집중력이 떨어지는데. 회사의 방. 회사의 방이네요.
Freya's bear.
Looks pretty
Yes.
depressed.
He's had a rough couple of days.
Just little trinkets.
Let's leave them alone. Painting supplies. That painting is really something.
Why would you want it looming over your bed like that?
Maybe Freya enjoyed the atmosphere it creates.
The atmosphere of chaos and oppression?
Hang on. There's a smaller version down by the floor.
It's a photograph.
이건 찍은 사진. 프레야의 초강화를 찍은 작은 사진. 위에 테이프 조각이 붙어 있다. 가장자리에는 검은 잉크로 줄이 그어져 있다.
That painting.
Why?
Maybe
The
Freya. Hang
atmos-
on. There's a smaller
It's
version.
a photograph.
아 이거 안 나오게 할 수 있구나.
It's a fish?
I think it looks more like a whale.
Fine, it's a whale.
Could also be a shark.
Freya's plants. They must not need sunlight? Drawings. Taped
What's
up
that one on the left?
on... Looks like two people standing. One of them's holding a red rose.
귀엽네. 정원에 한 남자와 여자가 서 있는 그림. 남자는 빨간 장미를 들고 있다. 삐비를 그린 그림이다. 망토를 입은 사람의 그림.
It's a little glass box.
I think it's a vivarium.
Come again?
See the leaves and twigs in there? Might have been for keeping insects.
지금은 없고.
Brushes, pencils.
They're clean, but they look pretty well used.
It's Freya's bed. A little bit messy.
It's a perfectly healthy amount of messy.
Do you think this was always supposed to be a bedroom?
I don't know. It is kind of a weird shape.
No windows either. And there's no natural light in here at all.
I like it.
Freya's plants. They must not need sun. Do you think this was all?
I don't know. It is
No
kind of...
windows either. Not the kind of lamp I choose for my bedroom, but fair enough.
It's cool. Looks like old mining equipment or something.
It's a little wooden box for paintbrushes.
To the casual observer, maybe.
오. 아,
They're
놓칠
not real
뻔했네.
paintbrushes. Looks like they're part of some kind of lock mechanism.
붓에 맞춰서 올바른 순서를 찾아 종이 퍼즐을 맞춰 단서를 찾아. 아. 한번 해볼게. 한번 해볼게요. 이렇게군. 일단 얘는 여기가 맞는 것 같고, 얘도 여기가 맞는 것 같고. 아, 아닌가? 이게 짧다는 뜻인 것 같아. 그러니까 얘가 짧고 주황색이 있으니까 얘고 주황색 저거니까. 그리고 세 번째는 얘네 둘 다일 수 있는데 그러면 일단 배제를 시켜놓고 여기는 주황색이야. 여기 주황색이래. 얘네 둘 다일 수 있어. 파란색은 여기. 이렇게인가?
I did it. What do I win?
Not bad. What was in the box?
Just a photograph. Well, most of a photograph.
사진. 두 어린 소녀의 사진. 한 명은 빨간 머리, 다른 한 명은 초록 머리를 가졌다. 큰 부분이 없는 불완전한 사진. 찍혀진 것 같다. 이거 다 본 것 같아요.
A lot of these paintings look unfinished.
How can you tell if they're finished or not?
Good point.
보고
Puffer fish?
Yes, it's also a lamp, for some reason.
멋진 등이다.
Puffer?
Yes, it's also a lamp.
나도 저런 게 있으면 갖고 싶어.
It's a barometer, but it's
I've
broken.
never seen a barometer that wasn't broken. A hammock. It's kind of worn out.
I would politely describe it as lived in.
A lot of redundant light sources in here. Shelf junk.
Sir? Can you hear me? I'm Private Detective Grimoire. I have some questions for you.
Grimoire. Good mysterious name. I'd rather like it. Felix Fellow at your beck and call.
Felix.
And, this is my colleague, Sally.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good name as well.
Thanks.
If you would, Mr. Fellow, we really need to ask you about the murder.
Well, I must say I'm rather jealous of you two.
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
Out here solving mysteries, exploring new places, uncovering secret rooms, hidden treasures. That's what life is all about.
Secret rooms?
Generally speaking, you know, that sort of thing.
So, Felix, what exactly do you, do?
Is it not obvious? I'm an explorer. Explorer
그래 보이긴
slash
한다.
treasure hunter. Yes, well, best in the world.
We're talking like curse statues, spike pits.
It's a little more sophisticated than that. But I've certainly seen my share of danger, if that's what you're asking.
And, if I may ask, when did you retire?
You listen here. I may be between ventures right now, but it's simply not in my nature to stay in one place for too long. I go wherever the winds of destiny take me.
Don't you live here with your wife and daughter?
Yes, well, the Fellow family has certain loyalties, and with Flora the way she is,
Nothing wrong with raising a family, Mr. Fellow.
don't misunderstand me. Fiona and Flora are my entire world. They are the greatest treasure of all.
Uh-huh.
Why on earth would you want to know about that?
The murder of Freya Fellow. The reason we're here?
Ah, right. Nasty business. Very unfortunate. I regret that I can't be of any help, but I wish you all the best in your investigation.
Hear that, Grimoire? We're done here. Let's go.
It's a simple question, Felix. I'm sure you're up to it.
Well, there's not much to tell. Mostly, I was in my room by myself, working on on a project.
Your room is quite close to Flora's tower. You didn't hear anything unusual?
What qualifies as unusual?
What have you got?
저거 빵 좀 가져올게요.
It was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent? Perhaps. Uncertain? As life itself.
Abridged version, please.
Right. Fine. I heard someone heading down the stairs. Just outside my room. The footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty, as was the garden beyond his window. Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora, too, of course. Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I. I stayed. Flora needed me.
딱히 이상한 점은 없는데.
That's a massive. Do you think there's a little crab living inside?
I hope so. It's a magic lamp. Can we summon the genie?
If we get really stuck, sure.
It's a drinking horn.
Is it full of ale? Or mead, maybe?
Right now, it's just full of dust.
Oh. A map with a dotted line?
That's a very boring way to describe a treasure map. A little hand-painted statue.
How can you tell it's hand-painted?
Well, the paints are right there on the desk. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell.
물감, 같은 물감이네요. 빨간색이 없어.
The entire room is made of wood.
Oh, it's not just made of wood. I think it's the actual hull of a ship. A pencil drawing of a mountain on a moonlit night.
Mood. The entire room is made of wood.
Oh, it's not just. I think it's the actual hull of a ship. An old wooden mask.
Probably cursed. Nice. A real treasure chest.
How do you know there's treasure in there?
Why else would it be locked?
아니, 곰팡이가 핀 것 같은데. 저거 탈라면 어떡하지? 이미 꽤 먹었는데. 이런. 별로겠다.
Plus, there's a treasure map hanging directly above it.
당연히 여러 가지.
What's the deal with that painting on the front?
Not sure. We should check that treasure map too.
용과 산과 여기네. 요게 H6. 그리고 서쪽. 서쪽이니까 웨스트.
That's done it.
Neat. What was in the box?
More wooden models. These are a little different to the one on the desk.
빨간 물감 여기 있네.
What is it?
He's an imp.
What does he do?
Well, if you tell too many lies, he appears at the end of your bed in the middle of the night.
Oh.
The entire room is made
Oh,
of
it's not
ink.
it's the actual. More maps?
No, they're just blank.
Oh. It's locked.
There's a metal plaque on the bench.
Is there a message engraved on it?
I think there was at one point, but someone scratched it off. A little bridge leading back to the gardens.
It's Tangletower. Or at least it's the mansion at the base of Tangletower. Is that a clock?
If it is, it's a clock with 4 faces.
I'm guessing it doesn't tell the time.
So what does it do?
No,
So moving any of the hands, it's like cogs on a machine.
응? 아니야? 아, 여기가 3이 아니구나. 됐다.
that's the one.
Hey, not bad. What's in the box?
A little tool thing? Looks like a telescope. But I'm not actually sure what it is.
동으로 된 작은 도구. 곡선에 유리 렌즈가 있다. 밑에 나사가 달려있다.
Looks like it might be about to fall apart. Grimoire, you go first.
You ever see a mushroom that big before?
Not in real life. A wooden trunk that opens up into a full desk.
I want one.
Whoa, nice cape.
You're not fellows or pointers. I'm sure I shall immediately regret asking. But who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick Grimoire.
A private detective, Grimoire.
Really? You're a detective. If this is a joke, it's not a good one.
Who are you, anyway?
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
오호.
Nice. Hawkshaw's a cooler name than Grimoire. Maybe I'll become her sidekick.
You're not on the Freya Fellow case, too, are you?
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh, right.
Now, if you would, I have work to do.
빵에 대한 미련을 버려. 총총아, 빵에 대한 미련을 버려. 그렇지만 님 멀쩡해 보이는데. 버리고 오겠습니다. 빵을 버리고 물과 바나나를 가져왔습니다.
It's not in my interest to discuss personal details.
Even if you're one of the suspects in a murder?
Very well. Let us make a small exception. Ask.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at 탱글타워?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
그
I am
전부터
not at
있었네.
liberty to answer that. Now, I shall permit you one more question.
What crime are you...
How'd you get that scar? It's cool.
You really think so? As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at 탱글타워. Hers was one of the last on my list.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber melancholy.
Was Flora in there at the time?
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky, out the open window. Didn't say a word, although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance, but she did not.
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite. Towards the early evening, my examination of the library was unexpectedly disrupted. Sounds of running, wailing, shouting from several floors above. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him great alarm. He told me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my office in the stone square. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. She was clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the fellow staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an intruder in the house. I took my leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower. An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance. He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled. That much was clear, but sorrowful, mournful, I cannot say.
오케이. 원실에 항상 있는 사람이 누굴까?
That's a handsome beetle. Looks like he might have magic powers.
아 여기 있다. 깜짝이야.
This one's in a little pot.
Okay, that is definitely not edible.
It looks like a gemstone, don't you think?
화분의 열매. 화분에 열린 열매는 단단하고 표면이 원석 같다. 화분의 토양은 색이 비정상적으로 푸르다.
Sally, don't move. We're being watched.
Yeah, I see him. He's a little too big to hide in the bushes. Is anyone going to say anything? Or shall we just stand around staring at each other?
Right, sorry.
Sorry.
That's better. I'm Sally. And the guy hiding behind me is Detective Grimoire. Who are you?
Fitzfellow, the gardener.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so tall?
I don't know.
You work here, as the gardener.
I don't get paid to do it. It's just my area of interest.
What's the deal with the plants? They're all kinda weird.
Right. Did you see the lake?
That giant green and purple lake surrounding the entire house? Yeah, I clocked it.
The color is just a byproduct.
Of what? Poison?
It's not poisonous. Not to you.
What's this got to do with the plants?
The water controls all life, just like anywhere else on the planet. Clouds form, rain falls. The water grows the plants, animals eat the plants. Anything you've perceived as an irregularity is simply a result of this hydrological cycle.
Could you say that again, but like, condense it as if you were talking to a slightly stupid person?
Our lake water causes the unpredictable alteration of DNA. Sometimes.
Alteration? Like mutation?
That'd be the official term. For us, it's normal. Just nature.
And you're the local expert on all this stuff?
No. I'm just the gardener. I was in my greenhouse, watering and weeding.
Sounds exciting.
Was anyone else around?
Not at first. Penelope came in a little later. She likes looking at the flowers, I think.
Did you speak to each other?
A little, not too much. We both left the greenhouse in the early afternoon. I went up to my room. Then I came back outside to weed the main gardens. Didn't see anyone else. After that, I went up to the garden outside my room.
And?
Let me guess. Watering and weeding.
Right.
Did anything happen to you yesterday, Fitz?
I was up in the rooftop garden. It was quiet. And then, it wasn't. I can't describe it. Could have been a scream, but it didn't sound human. We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
여기 있는 사람
Wait.
그런 얘기 안 했는데.
Poppy was with me. Did I not mention that? Flora's room was locked. That's normal. She usually locks it from the inside. I knocked on the door and shouted. Nobody responded. We became concerned.
You kicked the door down?
I did. Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back. Flora was there too, but I barely noticed her at first. Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too. Penelope arrived shortly after that, with Felix in tow. I thought that was odd. You don't normally see the two of them together. Felix took charge. There was nothing else I could do to help. I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything. I found her pacing back and forth around the stone square. When I approached her, she snapped at me. I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
아,
Fitz's room is unlocked. It's up in the fellow tower.
This could be interesting.
주사를 다 맞췄나 여기? 왜 다시 오시면? 우와, 아무것도 없네.
Quit sulking. Not every room is going to be full of clues.
Huh. Neither of these lights have an actual light bulb.
They're just decorative.
Oh, so decorative.
That poor plant.
Looks pretty healthy to me.
Healthy, but sad.
근데
I think it would rather be outside.
왜 여기에 식물을 놨을까? 밖에 온실도 있잖아?
It's locked, but it leads outside.
I thought we were halfway at the tower.
We are.
What's that thing by the handle?
Nothing. Still,
The tiles have all got that same sun symbol on them.
those moon symbols.
Maybe they're connected, but also... Maybe the information we need isn't here.
So where is it?
Somewhere else. Let's come back once we know what to do.
An empty glass and an empty plate.
Looking at it is making me want to cry.
Why?
I don't know.
It's a little handmade card. Inside it says, "To Fitz, from PP." Doesn't look soft.
Hello.
Not hidden very well, is it?
Doesn't need to be. It's locked. It's a combination lock. Sort of.
이거 아닌데. 이거다. 이거였고, 이거였고. 이건가? 그리고 이걸 안 해봤. 맞지?
That's done it.
Neat. Anything in there?
Yeah, it's wrapped in a cloth. Hold on. Huh, that's kind of ominous.
PPNFF. 장식 패턴이 있는 원예형 모종삽. 장식용 패턴이 새겨져 있으며 하트 모양의 양 끝에 글자가 있다. PP 하트 FF.
There's someone outside the window.
Something outside the window. It's probably just a rock.
You sure?
Tools. Used by a gardener. For gardening. Bags of soil.
It's so blue. Is that fruit? It's shaped like fruit.
Too shiny to be fruit. I think it's glowing a little too.
Safe to eat, do you think?
I'm gonna say no. All the flowers here look kind of poisonous.
Can flowers be poisonous?
Anything can be poisonous.
Good to know. Is that fruit?
Too shiny. I think it's glowing.
Safe to eat.
I'm gonna say no.
It's glass, but I can't see through it.
Total oxymoron.
I am not.
Tools. Used by gardening.
It's glass, but I
Total
can't. I am not.
Hanging baskets.
To you, maybe.
You're only 2 inches taller than me.
2 inches makes all the difference. It's bigger in here than It's bigger in here than
All the flowers here look kind of
can
poison.
fly.
Anything.
Good to know.
A little chart of. Actually, I have no idea what it's about.
누군가의 힌트일까? 혹시 모르니까 찍어둡니다.
Greek letters, I think. Greek letters?
Kinda reminds me of a periodic.
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot.
이쪽으로 가볼게요. 음악실. 아, 이 사람이 그
Are they paper lanterns?
Whatever they are, I like them. It's like a little parade of floating spirits.
감수성이 있네.
Who plays the violin, I wonder?
It's pretty dusty, so I'm guessing nobody.
어머.
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude!
Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
Ah,
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
what's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice. I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just, if you're 19,
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi, things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer. 3.5 hours of piano practice. Soon as I wake up.
아이고.
Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
and you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way. So I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that. Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there. so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I did. I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The three of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived.
같이
He
온 게
had Penny with
아니었구나.
him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it.
그렇군요.
All right. Poppy's bedroom is unlocked.
I wonder what's in there. Oh, whatever it is, it's playing a little trumpet.
Well, it is the music room. He's got to practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
큰 뿔피리를 들고 있는 빛나는 괴상한 생물체 동상. 동상의 뿔피리 쪽에 눈에 띄는 금이가 있다. 뿔피리의 안과 밑바닥에는 금이 간 유리 조각이 널려 있다.
There's a faded mural on the wall.
When I was a kid, I never knew the difference between a mural and a mosaic.
You still don't know, do you?
No.
Are they paper lanterns?
Whatever they are, I like. It's like a little parade of... Smells like a forest in here.
Sheet music. It's handwritten.
That's a lot of notes.
Probably why they're on the floor.
It's a globe.
For globing. All right.
Spooky murder mansion?
Spooky murder mansion. There's a faded
When
mural.
I was a kid, I never knew the...
You still don't know, do
No.
you? That's just daylight, right?
What else would it be?
It's one of those big pianos with the open lids.
Don't touch it.
Why not?
Might be haunted.
1 old wooden bookcase.
Yep.
25 dry old books.
Mm-hmm.
4 lit candles.
Yeah.
Am I the only one seeing the problem? All right, you got
Spooky murder
Spooky murder mansion.
여기를 가기 전에 얘한테 한번 말 걸어보자.
I've been carving for a couple of years now.
아,
I was
제시하시구나.
hopeless when I started, but it didn't take me long to master it, as you can see.
Do you paint them yourself too?
I do indeed, yes. Freya kindly taught me the basics. Nowadays, I can make just about anything I can imagine. Of course, this particular model is a self-portrait based on hard fact.
Hard fact, huh? So, you own a sword, Felix?
Of course, I own a great many. But my weapons are stored well away from Tangletower. Safety first and all that. Ah, you found it. What do you think, huh? I had to rush the final touches a little bit. It turned out all right, though.
What's it supposed to be?
It's Flora, of course, surrounded by all her favorite people.
Favorite people?
Does Florin normally keep something in here?
She must do, but I admit I've never managed to work out what.
Why not just ask her?
I feel like if somebody keeps something locked away in a ceramic egg, it's because they don't want to be asked about it.
일리가
Rules to
있어.
live by.
It would have been a beautiful painting. It's rather a shame Freya was unable to finish it.
Nothing about it seems strange to you.
Well, all these modern paintings are slightly strange, aren't they? The emotion of the piece taking over from, say, anatomical accuracy.
What about the knife in Flora's hand?
A knife? That's what you see?
You don't?
Well, as I was saying, Freya's artistic approach distorts certain shapes. Hard to say exactly what we're looking at.
그렇군.
What's this?
It's my case file. It's how I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
You mean to say you're bound by the limits of what's written in this little document? Sounds dreadful.
I find it comforting.
Rather ugly, isn't it, as far as statues go? Years of wind and rain have not been kind to it either.
Do you know what it is? The creature, I mean.
It's connected to the
Apart
Remington family history in some way, but I can't recall. Looks like Freya's paints.
Do you know why the pots are cracked down one side?
No, that's very odd. They're normally in excellent condition.
You seem pretty sure about that.
Where did you find that?
It was in the library.
Really? How odd. It's unlike her to leave paint on the brush.
I think we'll give her a pass, given the circumstances.
Ah, yes. So we shall.
다 말 걸 수 있네. 난 이런 거 몰라라고 넘어가는 거 하나쯤 있을
Flora's
줄
quite
알았는데.
fond of that old thing. It's in poor shape.
Do you know what happened to it?
Can't say I do. That looks like it might belong to Poppy. That looks like it might belong to Poppy. That's one of Freya's paintings, is it not? It's impressive, but a little miserable for my tastes. That looks like it might belong to Fitz. Why don't you ask Fiona about that one? Looks like her area of expertise. Charming, isn't it? Yes. Built by the Remington family originally. Dear Flora's father and his associates.
But now it's owned by you? By the Fellow family?
The Fellows and the Pointers have both come to claim a certain degree of ownership.
And who named it Tangletower?
Flora chose the name.
What does it mean?
I think it was her intention that it mean nothing at all. Something of a fresh start.
From what?
This really isn't for me to say, but she had some kind of disagreement with her siblings. After they moved away, Flora changed the name of the house. I think perhaps she hoped it would make them feel unwelcome, yes, less likely to come back.
That's kind of extreme.
Yes, it is rather, isn't it?
저 잠깐 화장실 좀 갔다 올게요. 이거
Charming, isn't it? Yes. Built by the Remington family originally. Dear Flora's father and his associates.
But now it's owned by you? By the Fellow family?
The Fellows and the Pointers have both come to claim a certain degree of ownership.
And who named it Tangletower?
Flora chose the name.
What does it mean?
I think it was her intention that it mean nothing at all. Something of a fresh start.
From what?
This really isn't for me to say, but she had some kind of disagreement with her siblings. After they moved away, Flora changed the name of the house. I think perhaps she hoped it would make them feel unwelcome, is less likely to come back.
That's kind of extreme.
Yes, it is rather, isn't it? Now this is still in very good condition. Apart from the crack, of course.
What about those shards on the inside of the horn?
Looks like somebody broke a glass and was trying to conceal the evidence. Cunning. I've never seen that before. Looks valuable.
Poppy and I are friends.
Oh, I that. Dark clothes, blue hair, an average of 3 words per sentence. Oh, you're like 2 peas in a pod.
She's very kind, and she has an interest in plants. Unusual flowers, mostly. I've been teaching her.
Right.
Is something wrong?
This is yours, Fitz?
Yeah.
Do you use it?
I keep all my tools in the greenhouse.
That wasn't what she asked. Fitz, one of these drawings is of you? In the rooftop garden, I think? With Poppy.
Mm-hmm. Are we done? Felix made that? Huh. This is a good example of how things work. I mix that soil here in the greenhouse. It's made with water from the lake.
And it makes the fruit grow all shiny and gem-stony.
Sometimes. You never really know what's going to happen.
And what do you do with this shiny, inedible fruit?
You look at it. That belongs to Poppy.
So, why is it up in Flora's tower?
I'm not sure. Nice painting. Gives you a pretty good idea of the layout.
The lake looks like it forms a perfect circle around the island.
It might seem strange to you, but nature is quite capable of producing perfectly geometric forms.
And those mountain cliff things around the outside?
We don't know much about them. They're unscalable. Not even Freya could have gone up there.
What's that?
This painting, it's speculative. There are no photographs from this angle as far as I know.
So, Freya just made it up.
Let's call it an informed
Nah.
estimation.
감사합니다. 저녁 먹고 뿅. 들어왔습니다. 얘 말고 쟤한테 가보자.
Softly does the flower grow, all in time, and time is slow. Rest a seed within the earth, but do not rush its gentle birth. Hour by hour, day by day, tune your heart to nature's way. That's me. I'm on a list of murder suspects. Always thought that would be kinda cool, but it's just tedious.
Falls a little short, doesn't it?
Hey, that's me. Not a bad likeness.
It looks like you're standing in a rose bush.
Is there something wrong with that?
This is a photo of Fifi and Freya, right?
Yeah,
How come you're not in it? You're friends with them too, aren't you?
I'm not really one for photographs.
Fifi looks like she really admires Freya.
Fifi's loyalty to Freya is unshakable. It was my mother's originally.
So, why is it up in Flora's room?
She just gets the most use out of it. Freya would borrow it too sometimes.
Does this belong to you, Poppy?
Now that's not really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape like this?
Literally anybody. This is mine.
Really?
No, well, yes, it was. I gave it to Freya about a year ago.
What was on it?
Nothing. It was blank. Freya said she wanted to record something.
Any idea how it ended up underwater?
Maybe someone wanted to destroy it, but got really lazy.
What do you make of the statue?
I know that's the only harp in the whole of Tangletawo. I've never actually seen a real one.
Maybe it's from before your time.
Oh, definitely. See how old this statue is?
What about the symbols? One of them looks like piano keys.
Yeah, weird. Freya would always load up the palette with all the exact colors she was gonna need. I think it helped her zone out and focus on the actual painting itself. Like getting all your sheet music lined up before playing a long piece.
Right. So the blob of black paint in the middle, that was for painting Flora?
Flora's dress, yeah. She wears even more black than I do. I think everybody sees something different.
Did Freya ever tell you what she saw in it?
Not exactly. She said something about it being from a recurring nightmare.
Sorry, but if it was from a nightmare, why would you paint it and leave it in front of your bed?
Maybe she wanted to take control of it. Giving something a physical form can make it easier to deal with. Well, sometimes. Is that a gardening trowel?
Yeah, I think it belongs to Fitz.
Really? Huh. Never seen him use it.
모르네. 다른 사람인가?
Whose paints are those?
They belong to Felix, I think.
어? 그러네. 다르네.
Was that supposed to be Flora?
Possibly.
Oh. How nice.
말해줘서 알았어.
Why is
그래,
the
물감
glass
중
cracked down one side?
하나만.
Natural
빨간색만.
wear and tear, maybe?
No way. Freya took good care of her stuff. Did you find that in Fifi's room?
No. Should we have?
No, it's just... It looks like something she'd use, don't you think? When I first saw it, I thought it looked like Flora was holding a knife, with blood on the tip.
You don't think that anymore?
No, it was a stupid thing to say. The room was dark. I was in shock. I'm just an idiot.
But it was blood on the tip. If you hadn't said anything, maybe Fifi wouldn't have checked.
Exactly. It's stupid.
But we would have missed out on an important clue.
Is it a clue? Really? Tell me how it's a clue. Tell me how it helps. Nothing about the knife makes any sense. It's just freaking everyone out. Wish I'd never said anything.
So there are 2 families living in Tangle Tower?
Mm-hmm. 3 pointers and 5 fellows. 4 fellows.
What's the connection between them?
There isn't one. Not really. It was all built by the Remington family. Flora is a Remington, originally. So was Primrose, my mother. She married into the Pointers, and Flora married into the Fellows.
So the Fellows and the Pointers own the house now?
Flora owns the house. Depending on who you ask, that means her husband Felix owns it too.
What about your father?
His claim over the house kind of fell apart after my mother left.
Where's your mother now?
No idea.
헷갈려. 모르겠어.
That belongs to Flora, I think. Oh, you've been to the greenhouse? What did you think?
Impressive, I guess. But kind of unsettling, with Fitz lurking in the shadows the whole time.
Yeah, he does that. Don't look at me. I didn't break it.
Does anybody else use the music room?
Yes. I don't know who, but I can tell when somebody else has touched the piano.
누군가 쓰는 사람이 있어. 누군지 몰라.
There's something I noticed about Freya's knife wound.
Hit me.
From what we could tell, the blade went in at an exact right angle, perpendicular to Freya's body. And there's only one small pool of blood. Nothing on Freya's hands, or anywhere else. The whole thing is just a little too peaceful. Don't you think that's weird? That the letter isn't addressed to anyone, or signed by anyone?
Someone's being deliberately secretive.
Or they're trying to manipulate you. What was inside?
Nothing.
Huh. Forgone drifter, holding fast. Is it bravery or surrender? Nothing darker than the...
인물에 대해서 그만 물어보고 싶다.
Hard of head, but free of mind. With starry eyes, a soul untapped.
한번 물어보자.
Did you ask Freya to paint this? Or was it her idea?
What is that you're holding in the painting, Flora? Some people have been saying it's a knife.
You haven't seen this yet, have you?
It's a little model of you. Who were the other people next to you?
Have you seen this book
보다.
before? Do you know who it belongs to?
나이프가 아니고
I really
새네.
thought she was gonna say something there.
나이프가 아니고 이 새다. 이 조각상에 있는 이 빨간 새.
Freya's painting supplies.
그리고 이 중에 빨간색만 색깔이 다른데 같은 얘기. 근데 왜 바꿔치기가 되어 있는지 모르겠네. 요 꼬랑지. 원래 이렇게 꼬랑지가 있어야 되는데. 이게 다시 가봅시다.
I believe Freya was attempting to communicate something through this painting.
Any idea what it was?
I am not the person to ask. All I see is a blood-red mountain with angry storm clouds brewing above it. As such, I cannot ascertain any meaning from it whatsoever. There is a drawing of me, a drawing of Detective Hawkshaw, and a drawing of Poppy and Fitz. This photograph is my favorite photograph.
So, why'd you rip it in half?
That was not me. Besides, it was not a half that was ripped off. It was only a third.
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time.
Is she laughing?
This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right. But why?
I do not know why. It is a model of Freya, made by my father.
A model of Flora, you mean?
And a man with a beard. And a little red and white creature.
Why would my father make a model of Freya?
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring. That blade,
It's a troll for gardening.
it is. The fruit here has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them completely pointless, unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends
On what?
on the structural integrity of your teeth. That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden
맞아.
and in the Grand
봤어.
Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed a test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course. This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh, yes. It has a telescopic lens. It can only be used for looking at things that are far away. The red paint on the brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer. The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days. What is your opinion of Tangletower?
Oh, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens, unique architecture.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangletower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her. Curious. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are?
I require facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell.
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene,
Apart from the one in the painting.
which as a mere abstract representation does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. A wooden carving of my father, made by my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint. Why did Poppy leave shards of glass all over this statue?
What makes you think it was Poppy?
The statue lives in the music room. Who else would it be? Name, Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes, kindly disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangletower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly one grandparent. Name, Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became 1. Increasingly independent, and 2. Increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you are friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
Name, Poppy Pointer. Age, 19. Profession, Apparently Poppy has defaced my notes. Under profession, I had of course originally written pianist, but she has crossed that out and written the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Name, Fitzfellow. Age, 24. Profession, cryptobotanist. Likes soil, dislikes electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So, what's your problem with him?
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife. Name, Haksha. Age, unknown. Profession, private detective. Likes, quote, being left alone. Dislikes, quote, being constantly badgered by a weirdo nerd with a clipboard. Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44. Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So, what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond. Name, Felix Fellow. Age, 53. Profession, none. Likes, collecting objects of negligible monetary value and assigning them personal value. Dislikes, the inescapable realities of human existence. Notes, Felix is my father and legal guardian.
And, is he a good dad?
I have no point of comparison, but I would say no.
No? Why not?
You asked me a binary question. Do not get upset that I provided one of the 2 possible answers.
What makes him a bad father, Fifi?
He has trouble expressing his emotions, and something of a willful detachment from reality.
Huh. Just like you, then.
Grimoire.
No, he is quite correct.
There's something about the image of Flora in the painting. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
별 대답 안 할 것 같은데. 혐의.
So, this painting, specifically that knife in Flora's hand.
Yeah, it's creepy. But we didn't find a knife anywhere in the room. So, what's going on?
이건 칼이 아니야.
It's not a knife. We need a clue to compare with the painting. Something to explain what that knife shape actually is.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Let's take a closer look at this. is actually just a plant from an ink dip bird. Nope.
칼처럼 생긴 다른 무언가? 아, 깃털.
The painted knife is actually just a feather from an ink dip bird.
It's definitely the right shape, but the book's not in color. The thing Flora's holding in the painting is red and white, specifically. Is there anything to suggest that the ink dip bird is red and white too? This little thing? I don't understand why Felix would make a model of this bird as part of a gift for Flora. And come to think of it, why would Flora be holding a feather in the painting anyway?
The ink dip bird was Flora's pet, so she kept a single feather to remember it by.
She kept the bird as a pet. And it died?
Maybe it flew away.
Flora spends all her time staring out the window.
Either way, she kept the feather. I think it was pretty important to her.
Alright, so she was holding the feather while Freya was painting her. But where is it now? You'd think she'd keep it somewhere close by.
Yeah, I think she does. Normally. This is where Flora usually keeps her feather.
But we opened it. It's empty.
Mm-hmm. Completely empty. Flora? She's pointing at something in the corner of the room.
It's just a pile of books. They're not... Wait, there's something tucked inside this one.
Aww.
I like these drawings, Flora.
Is there a reason why you wanted us to see them? That's the only door in and out of the room.
It's also on the floor.
Sure is. Guessing it's not supposed to be down there.
뭔가 웃긴 했지만 뭔가 더 진행시켜야 될 것 같은데 딱히 더 진행되는 게 없네.
These drawings are quite precious. I'm surprised Flora let you see them.
What happened to the bird? Did it die?
I don't know. Seems likely, though, doesn't it? I'm as confused as you are. My daughter Fiona and her best friend. They grow up so fast.
Do you know why it's ripped like that?
Ah, yes. I didn't even notice. No idea. Freya was quite the talent. She had a way of capturing the spirits of her subjects. Not in an evil way, in a good way. Uncommonly skilled as an artist, but Freya was so much more than her talent. She helped me get started with my own painting, you know. It taught me what she knew about wood carving, too. Tremendous patience. She was ever so good with dear Flora.
Freya and Flora were close?
Oh, yes, especially recently.
How are you related to Freya?
Somewhat distantly, as it happens. My father, Lord Fellow, was her grandfather. Technically, that makes her a fellow. Let's just say there was some discussion over whether she ought to carry the name at all. There's a family tree in the Grand Hall. You should take a look at it.
What about her inheritance?
Freya's parents died when she was around 3 years old. She came to live here shortly afterwards.
Nobody left her a thing?
I'm afraid not. She had no formal claim over anything at Tangletower.
그래서 방도 지하실 같은 방에 애매한 위치라는 건 알겠다. 그래도
My daughter Fiona, our little burgeoning genius. You've met her?
We did. She's going by Fifi these days.
So I've heard. I asked her some weeks ago, what's wrong with your real name? She told me, get this, she wanted a name with an even number of syllables. She makes up the strangest things when she's under pressure.
What makes you think she made that up?
I happen to know the real reason she prefers Fifi over Fiona.
Oh, yeah?
It's what Freya called her.
프레야랑 진짜 사이 좋았나 보다.
Dearest Flora, a remarkable woman. Oh, yes. Been married over 20 years now.
You two still get on?
Of course. What a question.
She hasn't gone quiet on you.
It's true she has an independent streak. She's had it her whole life. She's the youngest of 3. Always something of a lone wolf, you know? Just the way she is.
Lone wolf is putting it lightly. She doesn't seem to want to talk to anyone.
She just likes time to herself, away from the company of other humans.
Other humans?
Well, yes, other people, you know.
렉스 캐릭터 음악이 너무 좋다.
Quite the character, eh? A fellow member of the Order of the Crimson Cloak.
Is that a real thing?
No, I just meant because we both wear, you know, red capes of a sort.
Has she questioned you yet?
If you call that questioning, she seemed bored by everything I had to say. I heard on the grapevine, supposedly Hawkshaw is searching for some rare item, something called the Golden Beetle. Honestly, it's probably a bunch of sensationalist rubbish.
You reckon?
Quite sure. There is no treasure called the Golden Beetle.
How do you know?
Because I would have heard of it. Fitz? I don't trust him. He's slippery. Never commits to anything. Brain like an onion.
An onion?
Did you two have an argument?
No, but my daughter doesn't like him at all. And I trust Fiona's judgment entirely. She's a very vigilant young woman. Poppy's a good friend to my daughter. Always has been. I think they get on well because they're so different.
Different, like how?
Poppy is, she's quite introspective, good with feelings. Fiona, not so much. Still, Poppy always seems to be sulking about something.
The heavy, heavy price of emotional intelligence.
You're the one currently basking in his presence. You tell me.
Let's move on.
There's something about Felix's painting supplies. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
So, about this paint we found in your room.
Nothing suspicious about it. I used it to paint, obviously. Totally normal thing to do.
We never said it was suspicious.
Come on then, out with it. What exactly are you accusing me of?
It's not your paint pot. Did you take it from somewhere else?
What on earth? It's definitely mine. I even have proof. Look, the lid matches the ones on all my other paint pots. End of discussion.
That's not the end of the discussion.
We need a clue to compare with Felix's red paint. Something to prove who it actually belongs to. Let's take a closer look at this. Freya's red paint pot was stolen and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it.
That red paint is from Freya's supplies, not yours. Swapping the lids doesn't hide what you did.
Why are you bothering me about paint anyway? And none of this is connected to your murder.
빨간 물감통을 가득 채운 곳은 빨간 물감이다. 프레야가 플로라를 그리는데 쓰기 전이다. 모든 물감통에 없었던 그 빨간 물감이다. 맞는 말이긴 한데 뒤에 이어지는 게 없어. 이 빨간 물감통을 가득 채운 것은 피. 플로라를 그리기 위해 프레야가 쓴 후이다.
This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood after Freya used it to paint Flora. Almost. Maybe just change one thing. This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood and then locked away. Almost. Maybe just change. This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood before Freya used it to paint Flora.
Oh, that's definitely something. Right, fine. Here's the story. I was busy working on a project when I suddenly realized I had run out of red paint. There was a certain amount of time pressure, so I politely asked Freya if I could borrow hers. Just for a little while, you know. Perfectly reasonable request.
But she said no.
I tried to explain why I needed it, but she didn't seem to care. So, well, I took Freya's red paint pot and swapped it with my own empty one.
You wanted to her room?
Not my proudest moment, but it's just paint. I didn't touch anything else.
And the paint pot you left behind was definitely empty?
Quite. I have absolutely no idea how it got blood in it, if that's what you're asking.
Why were you in such a hurry to get a hold of red paint anyway?
I was trying to finish this in time for Flora's birthday. I needed red to paint the final details.
Could you not have just used a different color?
Out of the question. It had to be red and white.
If you managed to finish it, why haven't you given it to Flora yet?
Well, I decided against it in the end. After what happened, seemed a bit insensitive.
협족할 만하네.
It's a metronome for keeping time.
It's ticking. Is it a bomb?
It's supposed to be ticking. Not sure what those symbols are, though. There we go.
Perfect. What happened?
Little hatch unlocked in the back.
Anything in there?
Mm-hmm. It's a photograph. Part of a photograph.
어.
There's something about that pink cassette tape. Something suspicious.
Let's ask Poppy about it.
I need to confirm something with you, Poppy.
Confirm away.
What can you tell us about this cassette tape? Is it yours?
It belongs to Freya. She liked to have music playing while she was painting, you know.
And do you know what kind of music is on this tape?
No idea. Acid jazz?
It's piano music. Sounds an awful lot like your music, to be honest.
Sure it doesn't belong to you?
Why are we even talking about this? Cassette tapes have been redundant for a good few years now.
The tape was found at the crime scene. It was in the gramophone.
It's not mine. I'd never own anything like that.
Why not?
Not my color.
You used to like these colors.
Ridiculous.
We need a clue to compare with the cassette tape. Something that proves Poppy used to like these colors. Let's take a closer look at this.
나 사실 중고품 어디서 찾았는지 기억 한 개도 안 나. 이거는 아마 저기서 사건 현장에서 찾았지? 그리고
The pink cassette tape found in the garden matches the pink cassette player used by Poppy in this old photo. Almost. Maybe just change.
나 헷갈려.
The pink cassette tape was
몰라.
replaced by the pink cassette player used by Poppy in this old photo. Almost. Maybe just change one.
분홍 카세트 테이프의 최신 버전은 분홍 카세트 플레이어의 이냐?
The pink
몰라.
cassette tape found at the crime scene matches the pink cassette player used by Poppy in this old photo.
That is not me.
Yeah, it is. I'll prove it. You look a little different, but Fifi and Freya are pretty recognizable. It's clearly a photo of you with your two best friends. Why'd you tear it up? And then hide it?
I think the answer is pretty straightforward. Poppy doesn't want to look like that anymore.
That's it. Makes this whole thing seem kind of irrelevant.
Maybe. It depends on the reason.
The reason she doesn't want to look like that anymore?
The passage of time is a powerful thing.
Hold on. This means that pink cassette tape does belong to you, Poppy.
It used to. I recorded some piano music onto it and gave it to Freya as a gift. Years ago.
Freya could have easily been listening to this tape at the exact moment she was killed. There's gotta be a connection between the tape, the gramophone, and the murder.
There's one other thing I want to know. How did it get that crack down the middle?
I have no idea.
They're bird cages, but the birds are coming and going freely.
Is that a metaphor?
Oh, it totally is. Check out that butterfly.
Looks evil.
Wow, judgmental.
A rather magnificent bush. Somewhat cruelly confined to a stone pot.
There's a letter P carved into the side.
An especially fancy cage.
And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
장식이 되어 있는 무거운 사장 안에 있는 밝은색 새 3마리.
Bird diagrams. Hand-painted.
They're beautiful. Someone really knows their stuff.
And a little writing desk. It's kinda cute.
There's nothing written in the book, although someone's torn a page out of the middle.
I feel like I'm standing in a giant bird cage.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! And that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Penelope.
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Travel? Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz Fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our 2 families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether. Isn't he strapping?
He is big.
And so brooding.
Kinda sulky, yeah.
I can never tell what's going on in that beautiful head of his.
It just sounds like you don't know him very well.
I don't remember asking for your input. She'd sit in the aviary, first thing in the morning, and paint the birds. Sometimes she'd ask me their names.
Freya was interested in studying bird species too?
No, just wanted to know their names. Isabelle, Clementine, Myrtle, Lysandre, Genevieve.
Got it, thanks.
For my 21st birthday, she gave me a framed painting. All the birds from a single spring, with their names written underneath. I can't begin to tell you how much I've treasured it.
Sounds like you two were close.
I feel like I always struggled to articulate my admiration for her, but she had a way of understanding unspoken things. A fellow bird enthusiast. She's quite the expert, truth be told. Studied them professionally at one point. I think her father taught her.
Are you friends with Flora?
A little bit.
A little bit friends.
She's one for the peace and quiet. I dare say I'm a little too loud for her.
I can see that.
I do admire her, though, really. Always felt like she could have done better than settle for Felix.
Ouch.
I said it. I must say, I really don't care for the den of self-delusion that he's retreated into. People are better off when they just let themselves be themselves. Between you and me, I think Felix is secretly rather miserable. Oh, did you talk to Poppy already?
Yeah, a little bit.
And did you make any notes of what she told you?
Yeah, I did.
Lovely. Burn them. It'll all be lies.
Oh,
Why would Poppy lie to us?
Because that's what she does. She's a snake. Looks like one, too.
Don't you think you're being a little unfair, Penny?
She started it. She mostly ignores me, if I'm honest.
How come?
Well, we're not quite on the same intellectual level.
Oh. you don't need to.
No. It's quite all right. I'm comfortable with it. Somebody taking an interest in extinct animals.
Extinct.
Oh, yes. The book is very old. Most of the birds in it are long gone.
Well, what about this bird, though? The ink dip.
This one, well, was thought to be extinct for a long time. Then one was found here at Tangletower.
So it's not extinct.
You misunderstand. It was the last one. The very last.
Oh.
노래 좋아.
I must say the girls are awfully well behaved today. I think they know we're in the presence of company.
They belong to you? Why do you keep them in a cage?
They need a special diet, particular treatment. I let them out to fly occasionally, of course. But they're all one of a kind. I couldn't let anything happen to them.
Do they have names?
Of course. Let me introduce you to Tabitha, Tamara, and Tatiana.
I've already forgotten all three of their names.
Which one is which?
Oh, that's simple. Tatiana is the oldest, Tabitha is the most patient, and Tamara has the best sense of rhythm.
Glad we cleared that up.
What about the one on your head?
On my head? He's just my hat.
Huh?
He doesn't have a name. Who would name their hat? You know, it's probably quite impressive. To a visitor, fresh eyes and all that.
Not to you.
Try living in it for 20 years. The sheen wears off. If it wasn't for my fits, I'd have little reason to stay.
What about inheritance? You're the next oldest pointer after your uncle, aren't you?
Well, thank you very much for phrasing it like that. But no, any money left in the Pointer family will pass down directly to Poppy.
Is that fair?
I couldn't care less, to be perfectly honest. Finally! I get to see a detective's case file.
That's a very specific thing to be excited about.
Well, only last week I asked that miserable Hawkshaw woman if I could see her case notes.
I'm guessing she said no.
Would have been much more polite if she had just said no. Instead, she was quite rude to me. Accused me of being, what was it? A shallow sensationalist.
그렇군요.
Ooh, delightful. More of a gemstone than a fruit, isn't it?
Inedible, too, I think.
Yes. At one point, I thought Fitz might be growing them to sell them. But honestly, I think he just likes the way they look. She's a most unsavory little... She was incredibly rude about my appearance.
Which part? The giant bird arms, or...
If I were her, I'd go easy on the judgment of others. I mean, look at her. She looks like the ghost of a scarecrow. I just wish Uncle Pointer would tell her to behave herself.
Professor Pointer? Why him?
Oh, it was Uncle that called her in. She's his responsibility. Did you not know that? I awoke early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there. Crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That, and he has a great deal of work to do every day. Watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you'd think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I. Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too, standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower. Very nice.
You've seen these before?
Yes.
All of them? Even this one of...
Yes.
본 적이 있다고만 하네. 그러니까 삼각관계군. 쪽지가
We
뭔가
can get into
있네.
Penny's room now.
Now, like, right now?
여기에도 새가 많이 있네.
It's a birdhouse.
Are those real birds? Nope, they're wooden.
They're using up all the perches. What if a real bird wanted to use it?
그러게.
Got it.
I'm impressed. Did the door open? What's in there?
구겨진 종이, 찢어진 종이가 둥글게 말려 있다. 주위에 빨간 꽃잎이 흩뿌러져 있었다. 종이는 분노에 차 휘갈긴 메시지가 있다. 이제 내가 그녀를 갖겠어.
A little bedtime reading?
Let's see. Romance novels, detective novels, and
What?
this one appears to be both.
Nice.
That's some flower.
There's something weird about it. It just feels out of place.
화분의 꽃. 특이한 모양을 한 밝은 색깔의 꽃. 매우 건강하며 잘 돌본 것처럼 보인다. 화분의 토양은 신선하고 촉촉해 보인다. 게다가 색이 비정상적으로 푸르다.
That's a big window. Ever get the feeling you're being watched?
The mannequins don't have eyes, though.
That's not a comforting sentence. Traveling cases.
Empty. All of them.
A little tea set. Looks recently used.
One of the cups has tea in it.
What's in the other one?
Birdseed.
That bed. It's like something from a fairy tale.
Does it feel warm over here, or is it just me?
No, you're right. Maybe the bed has some kind of heater.
It's not coming from the bed. It's coming from the wall.
That bed.
Does it?
No.
It's not coming from the bed.
That's a big window. Looks like nature invited itself in. Rude.
You know, the birds can easily get in and out of those cages.
Well, if that's true, can they even be considered cages? That might be the most pointless staircase I've ever seen. This is the fanciest room so far.
Too fancy.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Anything in there?
Bed sheets.
That's not even remotely suspicious.
아, 이제 마지막이 아니네. 여기가 있구나. 아니, 이게 둘 다 이어져 있네. 두 방이. 드디어 마지막.
What is it?
Ah, it's clearly some kind of large device.
You're not wrong.
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're whispering. So quiet, and yet so loud.
What are they whispering about? Are they spreading rumors about us?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Mm-hmm. Could this speck of dust start by telling me his name?
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality, as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
Ah, Penelope, our resident ornithologist.
Penny's your niece, is that right?
At this moment in time, until she marries the gardener.
She'll still be your niece.
But she'll depart from the world of the Pointers and join the Fellows. Like rats deserting a sinking ship. What do you want me to say? He's the gardener.
He's a member of the family.
Yeah, but not the Pointer family.
What happened to his parents, do you know?
His father, Flint, is Felix's brother. Strange man. Don't think anybody knows what happened to him, but he certainly doesn't live here anymore.
What about his mother?
Emily? I've not met her. She never actually married into the fellow family. Her relationship with Flint was, it was short-lived. Nobody could deny her talent. She was remarkable, artistically gifted, but also highly intelligent.
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, you know.
Was she ever interested in astronomy?
I don't think she was. The fault may well lie with me for failing to inspire her. But I think she was captivated by more tangible things here on Earth. My daughter loved her. Fiona, too. That said, in the last year or so, more and more I've begun to notice her by herself, wandering the gardens at the most peculiar hours. She must have explored every inch of the grounds 100 times over. Quite a restless spirit, I think. I'm surprised she chose to live at Tangletower as long as she did. My Poppy, my pride and joy. Exceptionally talented pianist from a young age. She... Hold on. Why is she on your list of suspects?
Because she's a suspect.
Oh, no. I can personally vouch for her innocence. She'd never... Well, the truth is, she loved Freya very dearly.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Poppy's mother?
Primrose? She was Flora's sister, a Remington by birth. The playing field has never really been even since she left.
Where did she go?
Away. She went away.
나이 가문 가문 관계도가 너무 헷갈려.
Hard to read, that one, but she seems to know what she's doing.
She's kind of mean.
You know, I simply assumed all detectives were sharp, rigorous, and thorough. Then, of course, I met you. A listless soul drifting through the ether.
What's wrong with her?
Not sure. She's always been troubled. Comes from a dysfunctional family. I'd say you could ask her about it, but, I think you might find that to be a bit of a dead end. Me? Not much to say. Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And, of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And? A professional astronomer?
Oh, no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17 books.
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh, dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the cosmos I say hi.
The day began as any other, with blissful, unremarkable routine. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening. I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that. That's a very old book, isn't it? Looks like someone could have taken better care of it.
I like the look of a well-read book. Better than one that's never been opened.
Ah, well put. What kind of flower is that?
We're not sure. I think it might be the only one of its kind.
Primrose would know. My wife was a floriculturalist. Best in the field. That's a flower joke, but she was.
Interesting.
What a precious photograph. She hasn't changed a bit, has she?
Who?
Oh, if you don't know, perhaps I don't either. Curious creature, isn't it? Some sort of amphibious bipedal fishman.
Playing a trumpet.
Playing a trumpet, yes. A very old statue indeed. I'd recommend you leave it well alone. The poor fellow's in bad enough shape as it is. What's this?
It looks like it might be a telescope. Thought you might know something about it.
Well, it certainly is a telescope. It has a part there to screw onto a tripod, you see. It's rather small, though. I'm not sure you could see many stars with it.
No, probably not.
Oh, you found a murder weapon?
Steady on. It's just a gardening trowel.
Looks like a weapon to me. He should learn to make the most of his lot in life. And he does have a lot in life.
You're talking about money?
Among other things, but yes, he currently has agency over a small fortune. That is, if he hasn't already squandered it or lost it.
You two don't get on?
Oh no, we're the best of friends.
That's all the statements.
Let's go over them all. That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs.
I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me.
I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up with each other.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other. That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if
anyone's been lying.
It's a bird bath. Is that just
The
rainwater?
birds seem to like
They're even singing a little. Toot, toot.
Please don't do that.
Why is the sky?
Not everything is a mystery, Grimoire. The sky can be whatever color it likes. It's a garden, I think.
We could.
Ready when you are. It's a garden, I think. Ready when you are. I tied the boat up to the mooring post.
Loving the confidence.
Penelope is my fiancée.
Don't take this the wrong way, but Penny doesn't really strike me as your type.
She's not who she pretends to be. People think she's... well, they make assumptions.
And how's the relationship doing recently?
Good. It's good. She questioned me.
About what?
My work, the plants, bit of everything.
Did she search the greenhouse?
No, she didn't.
You sure? Maybe she did it when you weren't in there.
No, she hasn't touched it.
How can you tell?
Trust me, I can tell. She was always kind to me. She'd come into the greenhouse when I was working, sometimes by herself, sometimes with Poppy. I think they were just bored at first. Eventually, they started asking questions.
About what?
Poppy wanted to learn about flowers. Freya, she used to ask me about the insects.
Insects?
One of my jobs is to protect plants from things that might eat them. Freya brought me this little glass box, leaves and twigs inside. She'd say, put all the troublemakers in there. Every day I'd put a handful of beetles and other things in the box. Then she'd come along and take it away. I didn't really understand her, but she was always kind. A flower.
Yeah, it's a flower. We found it in Penny's room.
Okay.
Mean anything to you?
Why would it?
Come on.
I don't really go into Penny's room or anywhere in Pointer Tower. I just don't have a reason to.
You ever seen this before, Fitz?
No, but I don't normally go into Fifi's room.
That's not where we found it.
Oh, I just thought it looks like it belongs to her. Penelope's 3 favorite birds. She's very protective over them.
Are they, like, her pets? Do they have names?
Oh, they have names. Penelope loves to name things.
Do you remember what she named them?
I do not.
사본 파일에 너무 정보가 없지 않아? 어째서 사람이 쓰러져서 죽었는데 흉기가 없어? 심지어 그때 같이 있던 사람도 있었는데? 이상하지 않나? 소리 못 들었다는 게?
It was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent? Perhaps. Uncertain? As life itself.
Abridged version, please.
Right. Fine. I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room. The footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty, as was the garden beyond his window. Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora
근데
too,
게임 진짜 잘
of course.
만들었다.
Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I.
어.
There it is. The unfinished portrait
So, what?
looks that way. A little pot plant.
It's the only plant in the entire room.
뭔가 놓친 게 있나? 아, 그러고 보니까 여기 조사하다 말았지.
It's too cloudy to see any
It's
stars.
also daytime. Pretty.
It's too cloudy to see any stars right now.
It's also daytime.
Trinkets.
They're clearly gizmos.
A Spyglass to the Stars. Volumes 1 to 12.
They're in very good condition.
A bell jar. It's empty.
What do people normally keep in bell jars?
Other than bells, you mean? It's full of tea, but it's gone cold.
Criminal.
A picture frame.
With no picture.
It's a chart of the solar system. Which planet are you from, Sally? It's tidier than my desk. The notebook is untouched. It's completely blank.
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off blank.
It's tidier than my desk.
So, even the most well-used notebook, you know?
A mechanical solar system? What would you do with it?
I would look at it.
Wait a minute. Earth in the middle. Sun on the outside. How old is this thing?
난 천재인가 봐.
I got it.
I'm impressed. Did you hear that? Something unlocked.
There's a little hatch underneath? What's in there?
A bunch of paper. Looks like somebody's research.
오, 황금딱정벌레. 다양한 연구 노트 및 도표. 황금딱정벌레, 황금과 약 90% 동일한 광물로 구성된 외골격을 가졌다는 데서 유래는 수명이 수년에 이른다. 시익거리는 큰 소음을 내어 95데시벨 이상 기록. 포식자를 쫓아내고 잡아먹힌 경우 완전히 소화하지 못하게 한다. 이 미스티드에 얽힌 미신이 있는데 발견한 사람에게 불행을 초래하는 다소 비논리적인 평판을 가지고 있다.
There's something kinda disappointing about this room. I just expected a bit more from an astronomy tower.
Oh, does it not compare to all the other astronomy towers you've been to? Every astronomy tower needs a telescope.
I want to try.
I can see the doorway. It leads into the hall. The door itself is on the floor, knocked off its hinges.
It's that little plant Flora keeps on the window ledge.
Don't you think it would fall off? In the wind.
Maybe it's glued down.
I can just about see the gramophone. You can see right into Flora's room.
Not by accident.
I can see Flora, but she's not looking this way. She's looking up. Behind her is the backside of the easel holding Freya's unfinished painting. I can't really see anything behind it. Not from this angle. I can see the doorway. The door itself is on the floor.
Is that a window?
I think it is.
Is there another room above Flora's room?
We should check that next time we're over there. It's the tower opposite this one. It's the tower opposite this one. Trees. Isn't this supposed to be an astronomy telescope? I'm pretty sure you need to see the sky for astronomy to work.
내 말이.
I can't move it. I think this is just how it's set up.
기분 나쁜데?
So, we found some research. What's up with this golden beetle? Is this something you're studying?
I can't help you, I'm afraid. I think it must be something left behind by a previous inhabitant of Tangletower. I'm not the first scientist to ever walk these halls, you know.
Well, it wasn't in the halls. It was in your astronomy tower.
Fitz seems rather keen to grow things like this in his greenhouse, doesn't he?
What's wrong with that?
Well, you can't eat it. Makes you wonder why he bothers at all. Well now, that is most definitely none of my business. Quite possibly none of yours either.
There's something about Pointer's astronomy habits. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
So, Professor, what interests you about astronomy exactly?
It's not a matter of being interested. Once you expand your mind to the wider universe, it cannot be unexpanded.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been an astronomer?
I really don't like to give exact values unless I'm sure I can quantify them.
Convenient.
Why do you ask me these things?
I have a theory about you, Professor.
Oh? Go on.
You're not really interested in astronomy at all.
What could you possibly mean by that?
I think you're interested in a
머리
slightly
모양도
different field of research.
머리 모양도 천문학스러운 느낌의 머리 모양이 아니고.
I don't have time for tiny, insignificant insects. My studies focus only on the inconceivably large and the unimaginably far away.
Right. That's why you like using your telescope so much.
Yes, naturally. My little portal into another world.
Yeah, about that.
안경이 실제로 보고 있던 것은 범죄 현장이며 하늘을 보고 있던 게 아니야.
Pointer's telescope was actually looking at the crime scene and not up at the sky.
First, you accuse me of being a lowly entomologist. Now you're accusing me of, what, spying?
Are you spying?
Why would I need to spy on Flora?
Why? Because you lost your golden beetle specimen, and it's made you paranoid. You think somebody
Paranoid.
stole it from you.
Might not have been Flora you were spying on. Might have been Freya.
It's a very precious specimen, incredibly rare, valuable in ways you could never understand. Freya was always sneaking around, both towers and in the gardens too. She was definitely up to something.
So, this next question is important. You were looking to Flora's room around the time of the murder. Did you witness the crime, Professor?
No, I didn't. When I looked into the room, Flora was already lying on the floor.
Flora? You mean Freya?
No, Flora. She was lying by the window. I couldn't see Freya at all. It was fairly dark. The telescope isn't at a very good angle. That's why I decided to head over there myself. I needed to know what was going on.
This changes your statement, doesn't it?
No, everything I told you in my statement was true.
Apart from the reason you left your tower in the first place.
Right.
Let's go over what we know about the crime scene. We know a little more about the crime scene now. So, what do you think? Was Freya stabbed by her own painting?
Blood from the paint pot was used to paint the red tip of the painted ink dip feather to hide the evidence. Almost. Maybe just change one. Blood from the paint pot was used to paint over the painted ink dip feather to hide the evidence. Nope.
Nope. 나 진짜 모르겠는데? 물감통의 피는 그림에 사용됐다. 그 새빨간 얼룩새 깃털.
Blood from the paint pot was used to paint the red tip of the painted ink dip feather so it could stab Freya. Almost. Maybe just change one thing. Blood from the paint pot was used almost. Maybe just change. Blood from the paint pot almost. Maybe just change.
어떻게 사용됐을까?
Blood from the paint pot almost. Maybe just change. Blood from the paint pot almost. Maybe just change. Blood from the paint pot was used to paint the red tip of the painted ink dip feather to resemble a bloody knife.
I think you're right. Can't decide if I'm disappointed or relieved.
I have a question. Why?
Either it's a very strange coincidence, or somebody set it up.
Somebody deliberately put blood in the paint pot and hid that feather after the crime. Why? To distract us?
Possibly.
Well, it worked.
Possibly.
Flora's the only person who could have hidden the feather, unless someone took it from her.
Let's go over what we do know. The door was locked the whole time. It stayed locked until Fitz kicked it down. Normally, it can only be opened from the inside. Pointer said he couldn't see Freya from his telescope, but he did see Flora lying by the window.
So whatever got Freya got Flora too?
Except Flora survived. She didn't get a stab wound like Freya did.
Hold on. If there was no knife, then what did stab Freya?
It could be anything. It might not even be important.
How is it not important?
Right now, I'm less interested in the what, and more interested in the how.
금이 갈
The angle
정도의
of Freya's
충격?
wound suggests she was stabbed at a perfect right angle. That is, from directly in front of her. But she was standing right up by the canvas.
Somehow, Freya ended up lying on her back, still perfectly in line with a painting.
Maybe something went through it.
Through the painting? Wouldn't that leave a hole?
Okay, well, how about this? How do we know Freya was stabbed before she fell over? Maybe her being stabbed and her falling over are completely unrelated.
뒤에서 찔린 건지 앞에서 찔린 건지만 알려줘도 좋겠는데. 졸려요. 여기까지만 할까? 중간에 자리를 너무
Ground's moist. Wonder how often it
I
rains.
cannot believe how exciting this murder investigation is already.
중간에 자리를 너무 비워가지고 약간 쭉 달릴 수 있었으면 좋겠는데. 오늘은 여기까지 하겠습니다. 봐주셔서 감사해요. 굿나잇.